Hi YouTube, aerocommander, flaps mod, part 12. Hopefully this will be it, but not holding my breath. Still a lot of things to figure out, namely this mechanism that needs to move in and out and actuate the flaps. And I'm struggling with trying to deal with all the different geometric changes, and I'm really reluctant to bend this. But I think that's probably what we're going to end up having to do, is go ahead and slip this heat shrink out when we're ready. So we're going to have to bend it, and then we're going to have to bend these as well, which this part I'm not so worried about, because I can recreate this piece fairly easy. So I'm going to support this right here, grab this, and rotate it. And I'll have to go a good bit past to get it to fold to that 90 degrees from where it had been. Okay, so that should give us the flexibility to as we actuate, we can handle some of the other geometric changes, because this geometric axis change is just real limited. Which reminds me, I need to be just a little bit past 90 degrees. That's probably fine. And I might want to go a little bit more still. Because if you don't have these lined up, then it's just gonna bind as soon as it gets at a bad angle. It's a little too much. Okay, so that's pretty good right there. Okay, so now I need to make this bend, which I'm super reluctant to do. It's making me super nervous, actually. And I don't want to solder on this right now, but honestly, I don't think I have a whole lot of choice. I'm probably just going to have to bend it. The good news is if I bend it, if I do this right, I mean, there's a number of different ways I can support everything, but whether it's just a little bit of heat shrink or what, there's not going to be much material to work with. Because as I bend this, then I lose my lever mechanical advantage on the flap mechanism. So I have to be super careful how much I get into that. The other thing is I'm binding on here a little bit right this second. I'm not sure why. No, it's not really binding. This side's always worked well, it's just the fuse keeps falling on it. Okay, so the moment of truth here, the scary part. I have to hold this in such a way that I can get a 90-degree fold in it while being inside this fuse. Okay, so I'm holding it. This is going to be really hard to get this bend. It wouldn't be hard if it wasn't attached to 47 other things. I have to let this fall back down. And to be honest, maybe it's okay to have it at a slight angle. I don't know. I haven't ever done this. Yeah, I think even at an angle, it's probably still going to be an issue. But you know what? If I can't get it a whole lot better, that's probably what we're going to get. Okay, so you see the angle? I would much rather a crisper, tighter fold, but it's a lot easier said than done once you get into a cavity like this. Okay, cool. So now, I don't know. I think maybe the smart thing to do would be to try to actuate this now. Radio's on, throttle cuts on. Because we've only got the one side hooked up, but let's just make sure this works before we do it to both sides. Oh, and I set my flap timer to 5 seconds. I can probably set it to like 2. I just need to go a little slower so it doesn't pull things apart. Flaps are in the fully retracted position. I'm going to put them in the middle. Now I'll put them in the fully closed position. That should be fine. So fully closed position means that with these mated up like that, they should be in the closed position. Okay? Just like so. Okay? So let's see how this works. Oh, thank the Lord. Look at that. That is perfect. And then it locks it in position. So it's in flying mode. It's all mechanically locked. Okay? Takeoff. Landing. Oh man, the difference that 190 made is humongo. I was really nervous about that. But it exactly did what I wanted it to. Okay, so now let's get this off of here. So that makes me feel so much better about this. And this part actually wasn't too bad. So guys, those are the types of things that watching these ridiculous long videos help you to avoid having to do. Is not doing it. You still got to do it if you're going to copy me. But you don't have to figure it out. And that is a challenge. So maybe you want to take on the challenge and figure it out yourself without watching the videos. That's fine. You don't have to watch my video. But if you want to watch my video, you can save a lot of the frustration, even though you have some of the pain and suffering of the wasted time. So, just wanted to remind you guys about that. Okay, cool. So we got that angle. It doesn't need to be perfectly 90 degrees. It seems to be okay without the perfect 90 degree placement there. Now, one thing I do have to do is I want to try to get this up on the bend. So that will... And we'll glue it when we get it where we exactly want everything to be. Meaning we'll literally just put CA to hold things in place. That's it. You know, so... And the fuse is currently holding down the flaps on the other side, so we'll just hook them like this and like this. Okay? We're going to put the flaps into the full closed position, meaning that the regular flying mode, so it should be straight out almost, the servo. And that's how you get away with using a smaller servo to actuate 4 different control surfaces like this. Oh guys, holy crap, here we go. It's so beautiful! Oh man. Oh, that is so gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, guys, there's still some minor details to work out. Oh, but that looks so good. And let's move ailerons. No binding. Elevator. Rudder. Rudder. Okay, guys, I'm going to try to give you guys a good shot inside. You know what's funny? Those things are not going to come off. They're just simply not. They have nowhere to go. The 90-degree bend, call it a happy accident, call it what you will, they aren't going to come off. Okay, because they would have to be pulled off, and they're sprung tight in the middle. And I could exaggerate that just slightly. See what I did there, guys? I just made it so that both of these pieces are basically sprung, so they have nowhere to go but onto their correct position. They have no choice but to behave. Now, once they're on there, and of course I can glue these things as necessary, but what I'm going to do is I'll run the flaps for you now so you can watch it again. I don't even need to go that far. Oh, it's hitting the body. That's why it's binding on the right side. Well, this would be the left, but still, you know what I mean, guys. Okay, so real quick, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get on with it. And see, also the angle prevents this from wanting to come off too. I'm just going to quickly get some CA in here, because I'm satisfied with the way it's working. I'm not going to mess with it any further. If I change my mind later, I'll just have to burn these off, which is not a big deal either. Okay, this is thin CA, foam safe. Okay, it's just a touch of kicker. Okay, so we're just going to let that work for a second. Lick your finger, make sure it's set up, which it most definitely is now. Set that back on there, pull this off. Same thing. Oh, it's kind of awkward to get at this one. One drip of CA. Or is that just a bubble? No, it's not a bubble. Okay, so push it down. Slip that on. Excuse me. Now I just need to decide if I want to try to even that out a little bit, because getting that square might help a little bit with the action. But the action's fine, so I should just stop screwing with it. Maybe I'm going to take my own advice for once and stop screwing with it. The other thing is I want to get that antenna stuck down, because I don't want it flopping around. Okay, now this antenna may need to come out at some point, but I don't want it to be like temporary in that way. Okay, and I want to cut this edge off, the edge with the little grooves. So now we need to deliver this underneath a bunch of other equipment, so we'll stick it on just like that. Okay, now let's do, for good measure, let's do one more very small piece. And then we'll get our delivery tool out. We'll carry this down in there and deliver it right to where it belongs. Okay, and you guys have had UMXs, you'll know there's pieces of tape that are like that all over the place. They seem to hold up okay. And that'll give you the flexibility later if you need to undo something, to be able to undo it. Okay, I gotta get the screw back onto the servo, because because at this point I feel like we're probably where we need to be on the servo itself, the position. So the weather on Tuesday is going to thoroughly suck around here where I live, and right now it's Friday night, so my hope is that we're going to get some good weather this weekend so I can maiden this thing for you guys, or remaiden it. But you know how things like this go for maidens. You want them to go a certain way and they almost never do. Doesn't mean we won't get lucky, but I don't want to make empty promises to y'all. I'm only going to make promises I can keep. That's just the way I do it. That's the way I do most things. Not just YouTube. Just trying to get it square. I think that 90-degree angle might help with reliability of the action. Okay, awesome. Okay, so the other thing is we got to glue that servo so it doesn't like shift a bunch. I mean, a little bit of shifting probably wouldn't be a big deal. Oh, before we do that, this antenna needs to just get taped with these other two wires. We've been doing it with just zip ties initially, and then I switched gears and I switched over to doing just strips of black electrical tape, because it was just getting to where I had too many different places that I was trying to tie up, and it was getting, I mean, potentially pretty heavy. So I want to try to control the wires in a way that they look nice and that they're protected from the other activities inside this canopy area, but I don't want it to look slobby. Okay, so this is medium CA, foam safe, and what I'm going to do is I got to pick the plane up for this step. Okay, because I want it to just be right here, guys. Right along the leading edge, and then right there. Stop. Just a little bit of kicker. That's going to set it up on the leading edge here. And then as soon as that sets, we'll probably do one more row of glue right here. Okay, so I don't want to get any all over the lights if I can avoid it. Okay, so 2 strips. It would be super nice if I could get one more here on either side flanking this area. Sorry, I just decided to like totally go out of focus. Don't really understand why that happens. I think it's a change in lighting conditions maybe. Okay, just a little bit there and just a little bit there. Okay, so we're going to let that kicker work with the CA. Gosh, it's crazy how fast things come together all at once. I love the feeling of a project like this coming to a close because it is so much work. But when you're like me, you dream of all these ridiculous things that you don't need, and then you just can't live without them until you do it. It like eats me up until I do. Is that obsessive compulsive? I think it might be. Either way, my pain is your gain, folks. So now I got to figure out, do I just tape these down with clear tape, or do I go ahead and do, that'd be nice if I had white masking tape, because it would be Probably the best of both worlds. I think in the meantime, for now, what I'm going to do is I might just go ahead and just do clear tape for lightness reasons. And then I can switch gears later on. But honestly, like, this masking tape has been really good. It sticks great to this foam, like better than I expected it might. Kind of a lot better than I expected it might. I could also glue it. Maybe glue would be the best option for now. Just because we kind of know where things need to be. And there's no messing around. Okay, so that one's glued. And then when I'm done, I'll probably wipe it with alcohol. And then do some tape, maybe, as a secondary precautionary measure. I don't want to have a half deployment on these flaps, guys. That could cause an accident. It's one thing if the outboard flaps don't go exactly right. But it's another thing if they just fully don't deploy. That could be pretty devastating to the flight performance. Well, and the other thing is, like, you see where the flaps are right here? Servo set up. I ought to move the flap one step back so that all this stuff is, you see, because like this is pulled up just a hair. It's not like way off, but it's not perfect either. Keep that stuff out of the hinge point. You see what just happened there? It tried to run down into the hinge point. That'll cause you all sorts of grief, guys. Sometimes you'll be better off to just put a little kicker on before you actually apply the glue. Okay, so now, obviously we need to test the, oh goodness gracious, guys, that is so gorgeous. So gorgeous. I'm just double checking. I heard what it sounded like, a little bit of a, it's tape pulling, just a little bit of tape pulling. I don't like the way that edge looks. I'm going to very carefully fix that with a very small amount of heat. Okay? Whatever. Needs a little bit more. Okay? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, so I want that to be seated down a little bit further. So even though I have to go in here now with a screwdriver and undo that screw, well, you know what? I don't have to. That's true, guys. I can just open up my adjustment a little bit, which is the preferred technique anyway. So I'm going to actually articulate these back to the middle step, and then I'm just going to, that's going to probably not be super easy to do this, but, oh, actually it's going to be super easy. Like, really easy. That's crazy. It's like a well thought out design. I mean, what the heck is going on here? Sort of. like that. Well, then that happens. Come on. Okay, I put those in the wrong positions, evidently. Or did I? That can't be right. Oh, I know why that is. Because the fuselage is binding the wing. It's so frustrating. Okay, so we're at 25 minutes. We're doing pretty good on time still. It would be awesome if we could have this video done and be the end of it. Okay, so now that I adjusted that, I'm noticing that we're not pushing tight still. That could be a factor, could be something else. I think it might be the play there. Okay, so what we need to do next is fairly straightforward. We've done it before in other videos. We're going to do it again in this. We need to peel this tape off that was temporary. And we need to put in our more permanent solution for holding that down. Okay? So we just peel this tape out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to put some material over the top of that. It can be as simple as a little piece of paper towel. It doesn't need to be fancy at all. Trust me. Okay. So let's take this screwdriver and we'll run this just like that. And what that's going to do is that's going to prevent this from moving easily. It'll still move if you break it, like really bad. Okay, just put some CA down, make a puddle, stick the paper in it. Then work the paper. Okay. Now, at this point, you can use a little kicker, and then you'll want to get it folded down tight, fairly quick, but get it where you want it though first. Dang it, I didn't get it folded down very good. Okay, so that's getting hard now because the glue is setting into the fibers, okay? And then we're going to push this down. And this turns into essentially just like a really light-duty fiberglass. But it's also light. Like, it doesn't weigh very much, okay? Which is critically important on a small plane, okay? Now I'm going to just put on the top only. I'm going to give it some kicker. Okay, so that part's basically going to be done here. So now that's going to give us our support to keep this from wiggling around. Okay, now I want to actuate the flaps now. See, they already move. I'm running into the plane. I'm running into the fuse. Okay, so now we need to duplicate that on the other side. We're at 28 minutes. Whenever you do this step, guys, this is the step when things really start acting tidy. And when I say tidy, I mean the responsiveness is just crisper, and you'll appreciate the little bit of improvement you get from doing this. It does add a little bit of weight, which we're going to probably run out of video time on this, but I don't want to rush the last video. It always seems like I'm super rushed on my last video. Or the last video of a series that's this long. I owe it to you guys for watching. To at least give you the culmination of the event. That needs to be thinned up just a touch. Okay, this will probably be the last step we can get in on this video series too. Okay, a little bit of glue, a little bit down the edge, a little bit of glue, a little bit down the edge. And then I'm basically going to try to drop this in there neatly. Just like that. Push it into the glue. And you'll notice I'm just using a flat screwdriver, nothing special. This process is a trick I learned actually through many crashes. And it works really nice, but you want to get a texture that's not as visible if you want to put it in a pretty area on your plane. And one word of warning about doing this is that while this adds weight, if you get so much CA built up, you may actually melt your foam. So be careful how much you take on at a time. You see how I waited until it was set up to break it free? It's because I had got it on there and gotten it stuck. Okay guys, we're pretty much out of time right now, so let's get this action one more time for you here. So gorgeous. Alright, fine tuning on the last video coming up. Okay, because we can. Look how sweet that looks, guys. And I'll see you guys on the next video, part 13. That's the lucky number. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more, guys.